Here at the New York Design Awards, this is the Design Summit, and Victoria Milne, welcome to you.
Thank you.
I know you worked for the city for a few years, quite a while. We'll get to that in a moment, but you've started a brand new company. What's its name and what do you do?
It's called Sixth Sense Design, and I am especially excited about the opportunities to use design in the public sector, smaller scale than architecture, to serve people better. I think those skills are being used to sell Coca-Cola, but they're not really being used to serve the general public as well as they should be.
Okay, so let's nut that. Well, let's work that out a little bit. So what does that mean? How does that manifest itself in a particular project, for example, that you're working on right now?
Well, I think cities in general and developers, all people who work in the public sector, public areas, in other words, not necessarily government, can use these skill sets to prioritize the experience for the people who come and use their environments. So all of the skills that are used in retail aren't really being used to help public services get to people, to help people learn about health care offerings or even libraries, or certainly improving relationships between the public and police, for instance. Those are huge opportunities, I think, worldwide, actually, and certainly nationwide, to use all of the sophisticated intelligence of design to improve public relationships with public sectors.
Okay, so taking the example of corporate or commercial culture and trying to find a way of transplanting that into public life, essentially, to be able to bring in the same sorts of principles to work better for us. That's kind of the idea?
I think the idea would be less the corporate principles and more the sophistication of design.
Yep.
In other words, when you go into a retail environment, the retail environment is very clear about where you go, what's prioritized, what they want you to do. They want you to go buy something. They want all their things to be advertising to you and enticing you. But if you go to any public health center or the Department of Transportation or any of these other very, very important service environments, there's a huge opportunity to use interior design, communication design, graphics, product design, all of this finer, what I call small design, things smaller than architecture, on this scale that's more about human interaction. There's a huge opportunity to use that to really improve people's lives. That's the point.
That's how it works, yeah. So when you were working for the city, how did you, I mean, obviously you explored some of these ideas in that role, which you're now taking across to your new company. So tell me a bit about a recent project that you've been doing that kind of illustrates this.
Well, thank you. That's actually a great question, because I was working for the City of New York for over 10 years. I worked on developing design policies, but also executing and delivering design policies. Design projects, that is, on interiors and graphics. My last project was developing Built NYC, which wonderfully was recognized by this program a year or two ago. And Built NYC is probably the first thing in the country to commission independent product and furnishing designers, to do custom furnishings for public capital projects. So there were a couple of goals that were met by that. One was engaging the design community in the public sector in a way that they hadn't been. And I'm talking about, again, furnishing designers, not architects, because they already do a lot of work for government. And then the other side of the coin is you're getting a better interior design. You're getting a better service environment where things that have been designed custom for that function and that population are creating a better service environment. So it was really a win-win and very low cost. But along the way, one of the things I know really well now is how governments work and how they pay, and so that's an expertise I want to use to continue to improve public environments through work in this area.
What are the public environments that you're talking about? I know you touched on it before, so the health environments, hospitals, for example. How is it that they don't work? What is it that needs to change?
Everything.
Well, we're done here. Thanks, guys.
Well, It's really systemic, and
Yeah.
that's why it's an exciting area to work in. There's a class of design work now that's called service design, which is a lot of it's it's almost sort of the design end of like what McKinsey and Boston Consulting might be doing. That's more about how are you delivering your services, what's your policy manifestation, who are you trying to reach, and service design would encompass this, but it might start with something like you want to reach a non-English speaking immigrant single mother in a poor neighborhood. How do you reach her? Does she get messages on her phone? Does she go to the internet? Does she read signs on the street? What's the system of communication? And then once you've communicated what the health department is offering her, and she understands that she can come in and receive those services, how do you communicate with her in the space? How do you make her feel comfortable? How do you make her, what can you do in the space through the signage and communication and delivery of services that will help her to trust the people and feel comfortable and use the advice and go tell her friends? And so it's systemic. It's not just creating a chair. It's
across the entire
Yeah.
organisation to make
Yeah.
that successful. Yeah. So communication. It's really down to that one word. Really, this is what you're doing. You're calling it small design, but it's communicating.
It's communicating, and it might be the communication systems, it might be the environment, it might be the graphics, and it's foregrounding from that person's. It's foregrounding expression of successful application of public policy, because the final delivery of that is through design. It's through communication environments. How do you reach people? Are they getting it?
Yeah.
Is it successful?
So to do this in these organisations or in these public spaces, and I know we're not just talking about the public sector as such or government, how do you work with them, the royal them, to take on these ideas? Because you're talking not just about the furnishings, but the wayfinding, the whole gamut of small design.
Well, it's talking to the policy people or whoever's running the program, because they want to achieve something. They want to change the health outcomes for a certain population, or they want to increase usage of a library branch, or they want to have people not hate the DOT.
So they want you to not hate the transportation department.
Yeah,
Right.
they have in fact done some recent improvements there, but so they want you to have a positive experience, and so you identify their goals and you say, okay, I can look from the user's perspective in a way that people who are working on a very complex issue don't necessarily think about that. And so it's looking from the other end of the telescope to say, how, when somebody comes in here, are they experiencing this? And how can we modify the environment and the delivery of this information so that they feel more positive about it, they get what they want, and therefore the program is more successful.
It sounds amazing. So your big dream, if you had a magic wand, what would you do within the next 12 months to make 6 cents, 7 cents, 8 cents, 9 cents? Let's make it a whole dollar, shall we?
I would have 5 great projects of different scales going, some working with projects just to frame how they can solve these problems, and some working with teams to deliver solutions to these problems in different places and in different environments.
Sounds good to me. I'll come back in 12 months, see how you're going.
Okay.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.